Hi everyone, Victoria here. It's been a while since I've done a video, and I thought today I would speak a little bit about how magic is basically just learning to work with energy. Now, being a person, you're always working with energy to some degree, whether you know it or not. Like when you set your willpower on a goal and you start working towards it, that is an energetic mechanism that is occurring, and then you are working towards it. However, magic is the conscious utilization of working with energy to achieve a certain outcome. And when you consider all the different magical practices that exist in the world, you can see the different methodologies and systems and lineages that provide a means and way to work with energy. Now let's cover how you can use the mechanisms of yourself, your body, your soul, your mind, on how to use magic and work with magic. So for example, with meditation, you are training your mind to operate in a certain way. In our day-to-day, we might have monkey mind or thoughts just going through our head or preoccupations. It just is having its own program going. But as you do meditation, you learn to tune your mind into a different state of frequencies. For example, if you learn to just observe, or if you learn to focus single-pointed concentration on one thing, or if you focus on cultivating an empty state of mind in your practice. Now, what these do is give you the means to have your mental body function in different ways. So just right there, you have techniques that you can apply in several areas of your life. So for example, just observation. You can learn how to observe events occurring in your life and maybe start to see things objectively. You can observe what's going on with greater clarity in your own practice or in your inner state. With single-pointed concentration, you're able to cultivate consistent attention, awareness, and willpower towards an objective you set. So, whether it's just the things you're doing day to day, picking up a book and having your mind immersed in the book you're reading or the activities you're doing. If you're doing a magical operation, keeping all the energetics of your mind focused on what you're doing. Now, when it comes to emptiness, that allows you to create a container in space where you can buffer out external vibrations from coming in and influencing. So in that way, your mind is like creating a magical circle. It's creating a space. And then, for example, you can then say, create that emptiness and then decide what you want to introduce into that space while keeping everything out. So you can see when you're doing any magical practices, how that could be valuable. Say you're working on more advanced techniques, the ability to keep certain influences out and only maintain focus on what you're doing at that given time is a very powerful ability to have. Now, within ourselves, we have to work with the material we have. We might have our own baggage going on mentally, emotionally, physically, and those are going to influence the output of the energy channels we're trying to work through. So if there's some clog, some baggage, you have to work through that, or it's going to kind of color and influence what kind of energetic outputs you're having. Additionally, because we're human and because we have the innate capacity to cultivate ourselves, you have a lot that's available as you progress and develop. So for example, there is an etheric plane around us. There is an astral plane around us. There is a mental plane around us and other states of existence. So as say you work on developing your astral body, you can connect with and emotionally bring into your astral field pretty much anything. Say astrally, you turn on your astral eyes, and just right before you, you can travel to any astral plane or mental plane. Or say you want to work with the fire element. You are made up of energy. Fire element is an energetic structure. It's an element, one of the 4 elements. So by knowing energy mechanics and being able to work with energy, you can reach out, draw in, connect with the fire element, say, and there's different degrees you can work with it at different levels of reality. And these are just examples of tools you can put in your magical toolkit. Now, I mentioned some words like draw, the fire element. Drawing something to you is an energetic form of, we can say, communication. It's an energetic mechanism. Say I call out to something and I draw it to me. That is the way energy is working. Or if I reach out, the energy is going out. If you summon something, it is making it appear out of nowhere and arise. So those are just a few examples of how we're using energy. Personal example, in my meditation today, I had a container and was observing all the different impressions near or far that are kind of pinging around me. There are so many different techniques you can use to just work on yourself and your awareness. But I believe at a fundamental level, magic is having an understanding of how energy works and developing tools and abilities to work with that energy. For example, my background is in martial arts, internal martial arts. That's what first introduced me to inner work. So, for example, in your body, being able to, say, focus on a certain chakra, or to channel energy from your tanden out your hand into another person. These are examples of how energy is used. Now, your body is a house, and in that house, you can develop that house. There are areas where rooms might be a little shabby and dusty and needing some cleaning and redecoration. But as you sit and focus and do your practice in any system, what you're doing is you're cultivating that ability. You are opening those channels. You are working it. And then as you do that, these abilities and practices become property of your inner house. So then you have the means to be able to do those things again. And most people are stuck in the day-to-day containers that they live in. So it could be based on environments, friends, family. And as you connect to these things, work, your physical location, land, karma, and as you go through your days, there is an energetic influence from all these things. We also have things like at a planetary level. So those things are influencing and coloring your energy dynamics to a certain extent. But as you work on your inner house, your development, you can create a different resonance. So, for example, you might be able to buffer things out a little bit more, or have a sensation and awareness when some kind of force is coming in to then rebound it, block it, or redirect it. And as we have these day-to-day states that we tend to exist in, when you have an internal practice system, when you sit and you meditate or do your rituals, you're able to shift your state of awareness from mundane day-to-day energetics into something deeper, into something more. Maybe it's just stilling your mind, which really resets the way you engage with everything for a period of time. Say it's connecting to different planes of existence that are always there and present right behind this, physical plane that our senses tend to stay in. But then you're able to appreciate and recall that there is more that is going on at any given time behind us, around us. So as we kind of explore how we find these different forms of engagement with the different energies, with ourselves, we're able to see just through our practice, just from sitting and doing the practice, that life is more than just the day-to-day. And as we do our practices, we're finding a different relationship and dynamic with these forces. And all of these tools end up creating what I would say like a robust interdynamic that we have with reality. So for example, you may say, okay, I have the ability to focus on something and send my attention to it. And that is creating kind of a ground level. But because you are human and you have the ability to spiritually evolve, you can stack on top of that more abilities. And what these do is start to transform and change your inner composition. And the techniques you can do are endless. Say you decided to have a technique to mentally identify every action that you're doing. So for example, I'm going to recite something. I am looking at a rose quartz. I'm going to pick it up with my right hand. I reach up my right hand. I stretch forward. My 4 fingers cover the top. My thumb gets on the side. I draw my arm tendons back. I turn my hand over. I bring it up to my face. I smell it. I turn it to the right. I notice a triangle shape. I turn it to the left. I turn it to the right. I turn it over. So throughout your whole day-to-day, you can identify even steps I'm doing. I'm lifting up my left foot. I'm putting it down. I'm lifting up my right foot. I'm putting it down. My hands are swinging. I heard a noise in the park, so I'm turning to look at it. I'm looking forward. That is just one simple technique of how you can focus your mind to be aware and observe everything that's going on. Or, for example, not just being able to recall your thoughts, but recall everything that's happened in the day. So say in the evening, you go back and you try to remember every movement you did throughout the day, all the thoughts you had, all the emotions you felt, and try to do it in chronological order, either from the moment you woke up or backwards from the moment you decide to sit down in that. What this does is it strengthens your spirit and your ability of recall and your ability to memorize. And this is a function that also helps you, in your day-to-day life, because your mental capacity increases. And that has a ripple effect. So as you do your inner work, it's going to make an impact on how you show up day to day, what kind of life you experience, also what faculties you have. You might find that your emotional intelligence or even your general intelligence, IQ, is better. You have more synapses firing in your brain. You're able to think more quickly, have higher levels of assessment, engagement, intelligence, discernment, and being able to work with things differently. Or say emotional involvement. Say there were things that used to really trigger you and get under your skin. But as you do your inner work, Your emotional intelligence may change where, okay, things that used to bother you don't anymore, or you view them differently. You were able to change the narrative in that story. So, as you practice magic, I encourage you to pay attention to the energetics of it. Get a feel for what is happening on an energetic level and identify what kind of quantity, quality, and mechanism is the energy I'm doing. Like the examples of drawing something, or pushing something, or summoning something, or condensing something. These are energetic phenomena. And as you be able to do these different kind of techniques, then you can change it to, say, for example, instead of condensing etheric energy, I can condense akasha. But you understand the mechanism of condensing. And as I mentioned, the quality and quantity, try to pay attention to those two, because that's where we can really cultivate improvement and development. So say you're focusing on something and your focus is kind of going like this, it's trying to stay focused on that, but you can sense it's kind of waving. And it might have a little staticness because there's, external influences impeding it. But if you focus on the quality and quantity, then you're able to get it a little bit better. But all of these things, all they take is practice. All they take is attention and awareness and redirecting and focusing on improving that energetic output. And whether you do internal power systems, ritual magic, what it all comes down to is different structure and form and ways energy is materializing, moving, being directed, being brought into your attention and focus, and how you create a composition with that and direct it, and the underlying intention of what is your aim for doing this. Someone once told me everyone is a magician, whether they realize it or not, because we tend to do these things anyway without thinking about it. Say you have a desire or wish and you keep thinking about it and visualizing it. That is causing a trigger on different planes of reality. The wish might be from akasha, the imaginations are an astral. You have a lot of positive emotions towards it, so that's feeding into that. That is like a magic spell. That is creating something. And, Muggle people do this, but that is also a magical act. Or if people really don't like someone, they're sending a lot of negative energy and ill intent. That is a quality of energy and a vibration with the intention to influence that person and change their energetic composition. So every day we are surrounded by energy. We are working some magic to some degree or another, but you can do it intentionally with your direction, your awareness, and decide, okay, I have these abilities, just as everyone else. To what end am I going to interact with these forces that are all around me, and what will I create out of it? And that's all for today. Hope you're all doing well, and take care. Bye.